Welcome back to One Bills Live. Chris Brown, Steve Tasker with you, and joining us in studio as he does each week, the Hall of Famer Thurman Thomas. How we doing, Thurm?
Doing great.
All right. You have your layers ready for Sunday? You got?
Oh man! Don't get me started on that, please.
Drop the hand warmers in your boots.
I'm kind of bitter about it because I don't even want to stand outside and smoke a cigar in this weather.
Right. That's what we were supposed to do before the game, right?
You guys got to stop
We're talking
it.
about
This is
it,
first
but-
world problems here. Come on.
Man,
You guys sound old talking like this. Come on.
yeah,
You
well,
played in this stuff.
Hey,
I'm not anymore.
we live here, man.
So I don't have to deal with it.
we live in a first world country.
They're not
That's what I
paying me
tell
to
you.
play in this anymore.
Right,
It's
exactly.
it's so horrible to be out in it.
You know what I was doing this morning?
What were you doing?
I was down the street picking up trash that had blown away from my house.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, you had to pick up because
Yeah, exactly. I had to pick up something out there with gloves and boots on, and and I'm like, I just
Tuesday's your trash day where you take the trash
Wednesday's
down? Wednesday.
mine. Yeah,
this
today.
morning.
Today.
you take
He's
it
running
down this
around.
morning.
Yeah.
Thurman's
Oh, see, I
running
take
down
it
the
out the
block.
night before and leave it out overnight. That's what they tell me. 'Cause
No,
they might
I
come
did.
early.
Yeah, we did it yesterday, but
It's all spread
yeah,
out.
it's all spread out now.
I get it.
I hate it when
get
that happens.
Wind is supposed to be a factor on Sunday, Thurm, and the word has already gone out that this could be a run-heavy football game because of that. I'm going to break some numbers off on you.
Go ahead.
First one is, since Week 10, the Bills lead the league with 35.8 rushing attempts per game.
35.
Lead the league since Week 10, and that's pretty much since Joe Brady took over, a little bit after he started. And then we know the Steelers like to run it a ton as well. They run it 59% on first down. That's the highest number in the league. Wow. Your thoughts about these two teams mashing against one another if the weather kind of demands it?
Well, I do know that, it'll probably a heavy dose of. It could be Cook, could be Fournette too.
Got Ty
could be
Johnson in
Ty
concussion
Johnson.
protocol.
He gets out of the
concussion protocol. So, but that's what kind of Pittsburgh is built on
To do, yeah.
in these last couple of years, really, with drafting Najee Harris, first round pick, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yep, and now you got this Jalen Warren kid
got
who's
the
pretty.
Jalen
He's
Warren.
got some burst.
Oklahoma State, and Mason Rudolph, Oklahoma State. I mean,
Yeah.
so the dynamics for them in the last couple of weeks kind of changed
Yeah.
because Mason was throwing the football. He was getting the ball to Pickens and all the other wide receivers. So, but when you think about Pittsburgh football,
Yeah.
you think about
Wow.
weather like this
Yeah.
and running the football. I mean, going all the way back to Franco Harris and Rocky
Well, right.
Blau.
Have you seen enough of Warren to kind of have a feel for what his skill set's like, or what you think of him? Or?
I think all his skill sets are very, very
He can
nice.
catch.
He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a nice, I would say above average runner.
Yeah.
Above average runner. And what I've seen from him, I've seen from Cook last week picking up
Right.
blitzes.
Right.
Picking up blitzes.
Cook worked on it and he's gotten better.
He's gotten a lot better.
You're not going. Hope they don't.
Yeah, right. So with him being better as pass protection, now you hit the defensive coordinator wonder, okay, wait a minute, do I
Right.
take a chance or do I play it safe and maybe him coming out of the backfield?
The problem is, I mean, when you're playing a beat-up Dolphins defense and you can leave Cook in to pick him,
Yeah.
it's not playing. You ain't playing the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. All right, they're 3-4. They can do a lot of more things
A lot more
up
movement.
front. We'll see though. Certainly he's willing, which is 90% of the battle. If you
Right.
can get the guy to say, yeah, he looks like he's going to do it. When you get to these playoff games too, even the guys that are like the slow motor guys.
Yeah, right. They
You
always
know what I
find a
mean?
way.
They find a way.
They
can
find a
turn it
way in
on.
weather like this.
Yeah,
you
they
know?
turn it on.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they turn it on too.
Yeah.
Everybody turns it on because
Yeah.
they all right. I got through the whole season. Here we go. Everybody turns it up. Even the guys who don't try normally, like try hard, aren't
Like somebody who's ever replacing T.J. Watt, who I mean, obviously,
Right.
I wish you want to go up and play against the
Yeah,
best.
yeah,
And
yeah.
hey, look, it's a guy who's right at 100 sacks almost in 6 years.
He's elite.
Probably should have won a Defensive Player of
Right.
the Year at least 3 times at this
Right.
point. He's an elite football player,
Yeah.
and that's the ticket you want to pay for, and have that and go out and watch that guy play. So,
Right.
but I guarantee you, whoever taking his spot, he's probably going to end up making some plays because that's
Yeah.
just kind of how their defense is built. You can plug one, like, obviously TJ is the guy, but if you plug another guy somewhere else, he'll end up making a special play or doing something for that defense because that's how Mike Tomlin and that organization, that's how they play defense.
Yeah, exactly. He's not going to be a stiff.
No.
So, but he's not going to be TJ Watt either.
No.
And it'll be interesting to see what they do schematically, if they feel like they got to send extra people, if they do zone blitz a little bit more. Send 5 guys instead of 4 and drop back and have Josh trying to pick out which zone is going to be thin, and that kind of thing. It really a tactical game now, I think more so for the Pittsburgh defense now that TJ's out. They're going to have to start thinking. And then they got the safety thing going on with Minkah Fitzpatrick being maybe back in and Marcus Peterson. What is it?
Patrick Peterson.
Patrick Peterson. God, I keep Patrick Peterson back in there. He's been going back and forth.
Yeah.
And
they're moving Patrick out. They put him at safety.
They moved him back to safety. He's getting active. The guy can play. So
I thought he was still at
I think
Minnesota.
this is going to be a really
I'm way behind.
Way to be, man. I think this is going to be a tactically fun game to dissect and take note of.
But I do think, we have the number one weapon on our field, and it's on our side.
Yeah.
And that's Josh Allen and how he's going to play. What are you going to do? Are you going to put a spy on him, or what are you going to do? Because we haven't played Pittsburgh a lot. I think we've only played them a couple of times,
like once a year, for 2 or 3 years, and they crushed them in the preseason. The Pittsburgh Steelers beat them up bad here.
Well, that was part of the psyche
was in
of
Pittsburgh.
That preseason game.
This last preseason game was in Pittsburgh.
I distinctly.
It was here. Yeah, it was here.
It was here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. With that game, though, even though it was a preseason game, Mike Tomlin had those boys ready because the year before,
they lumped them
up. They lumped them up pretty good. So that's what I'm saying. Now you can talk about how bad Pittsburgh defense has been. Offense has been throughout the year, not scoring points, lasting whatever.
It was at Pittsburgh. I'm not losing my mind.
No, you're not
Are
losing
you sure?
your mind. But let me tell you, Tomlin had his team ready for that preseason game just because of the following year of what Buffalo did to them. He's going to have them ready for this, too.
Okay,
17 years of over 500 in a row.
Right. It's something to marvel at. It is. At this day and age, in this league, with as competitive as it is. I want to talk to you about some technique here, Thurm. The Steelers lead the league, or are right at the top of the league, in forced fumbles with 19. And they use that peanut punch a lot.
I just saw it last week.
Yeah, and it worked. And they're making it work.
Yeah.
So maybe just walk through high and tight here, right? Like for the backs and ball carriers, it's not just the backs. They'll punch it out of a receiver's hand yards after catch.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe just talk to me about, if you're a ball carrier, how do you have to carry that to try to prevent that as best you can? Obviously, you're going to cover up when guys close in, but...
Yeah, obviously, and I think you got to be aware of the situation and where you're at on the football field, too. If you're somebody grabbing you down low by the knees, you know what? Go down. Just go down. Don't try to get that extra yard, because these guys are coming, right? You know these guys are coming.
Guy 2 and 3.
Guy 2 and 3 are coming, and if they got the one guy that's...
Got you wrapped,
then, they're going to try to punch it out. And you're trying to get yards, you're trying to make plays, and sometimes you see that opportunity to be, hey, I just got to go down. Because
protect the ball first.
Protect the ball. They're going to be doing it the entire football game. Like you said, the DBs do it to the wide receivers, the running backs, the tight end. They do it to everybody. Yeah. And so you have to be aware. It's that mentality that they have. It's the gang tackling that they would call it. Having 2, 3, 4, as many guys as you possibly can around the football, and have one guy or maybe 2 guys just punch it out. But, obviously our guys have to be protective of that. And, when you can't get, just cover it up. Just cover it up best you can.
Yeah, and this is going to come down to as well. We talk about you're going to have to hand it off, and both these teams run it a ton on first down, and sooner or later you're going to have to back up and throw it.
Yeah.
And Josh is, you live in it. It's easier to throw it in this stuff when you do it. And Pittsburgh's not that weather-wise. It's not going to be scary for them to come up here and play in these conditions.
No.
Talk about what it takes in a bad weather game like this to be successful throwing the football. Because we were part of some games where they did. You got it done.
Yeah, obviously when you have weather like this, everything's going to be shortened. Yeah. But
short throws.
Even with Josh and the cannon that he has, I'm still going to try and throw it deep. He just has a cannon. And you know what? The DBs are not running as fast as they normally would be running. And the offensive guy knows where he's going. If he's going on a 9 route and Josh can get him that route, he can do a couple of things off the line of scrimmage from 5 yards to 10 yards to get that DB to thinking, well, he's going to run out now.
If you give him a stomp move, he'll stop his feet. Well, much like Jalen Ramsey did against with the Miami Dolphins, the play that they missed with Stephon Diggs and Josh when they go down. Steph gives him that little shimmy, and Jalen is standing there. And so, the problem is the other end. When you put that ball up in the air in 20-mile-an-hour winds, it isn't going to go where you think it's going to go.
Yeah,
that's the problem. But I'm with you. I think you'll see more hook routes.
You can see some fade routes
where you're gonna get the ball just gunned right on the guy, right?
Yeah.
In zone coverage, that kind of thing. You'll
some
hit
back shoulder.
Yes.
Exactly. Haven't seen that in a little while.
Huh?
Haven't seen that in a while.
No, I mean, we saw it early with Steph in the season,
a lot.
And then all of a sudden it just kind of disappeared. But those guys haven't. I mean, thank God this was the one that he connected on. I mean, there's been plenty more where they should have, and because we just weren't doing that a lot at the end of the season.
How different would the narrative been about the Miami game if Steph hits that long pass and
89-yard touchdown
and James Cook pulls in that corner out in the touchdown? That whole narrative about the Bills people would be. This place would be on fire right now. I mean, they would be like, let's go.
I mean, it should have been 35-14.
It's it might be better it's not, though, because now you get all the bright lights turn on, the spotlight is on Buffalo as being the favorite, even ahead of Baltimore because of the recency bias.
And we'll talk about this when we come back because you guys can climb into the player psyche for me on this. But we're going to discuss this when we come back because the game didn't play out probably the way a lot of us think it should have due to execution issues. Does that make this Bills team even sharper going in to this playoff game on Sunday? We'll discuss that with Thurman and Steve next here on One Bills Live, presented by Kaleida Health. It's Buffalo Bills Radio. As we said before the break, we would discuss how with the Bills offense still chasing their best offensive performance of the season, perhaps since the Dallas game, that I think it's in my opinion, but I'm going to ask the guys that have been in those shoes and have maybe gone out and not played their best game. Does it sharpen the focus this week because you're still chasing your best offensive performance? So would you agree with that it almost sharpens them up because they feel like they didn't play their best last week, and it's still do or die now this week, so you're chasing that, aren't you?
And I'm going to go ahead and answer that question first because I think the offense is still, if that's what you're referring to, the offense is still chasing their best game.
That's what I mean.
Because defense, they're there.
Yeah.
Defense is there.
Peaking at the right time.
They're peaking at the right time, and even like we keep saying is even with the injuries that they've had over the past year or whatever, that this defense, Sean McDermott, has held pretty much every team right at about 17 or 20-something points.
Yeah.
Every single game. It's our offense that need to be sharp. They need to be sharp because if they're sharp, that brings a lot more energy to the defense and the special teams and everybody else.
So is there more of a laser focus in practice?
Right, because you're one and done.
Yeah. You know that you don't want to be the guy that, like for a guy like me, I ain't going to muff a punt in this game. I don't want to be that guy. Have everybody playing like gangbusters and me, doink it back to them, right? So nobody wants to be the guy that lets everybody else down. Mm-hmm. You get to this point where you've all hurt and you've suffered together, and you get practices, and you play hurt and you practice hurt, and and you see everybody going through the same thing, and you kind of hang in with it, and then you get to this point, it's like, let's go. You don't want to be the guy that wastes all of it. So there's that motivation behind everybody, I think, right? You don't want to be the weak link.
Yeah.
And so that, guys like me down the roster, guy covering kicks, man, I'm not letting Bruce and Thurman down, because I know those, I'm not going to be that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the guy that lines up off sides. Holy crap.
You don't want to be D4.
But you know what?
Yeah, I don't want to be D4.
And sometimes in those instances, I have been in those where I didn't come through. But Jim or Andre or Bruce, hell, they would pick me up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
That's the way it works.
Well, especially if there's still game to play,
right?
too.
If there's still game to play, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean man, once you get to this point, it's a roller coaster. Every single quarter, it's a roller coaster.
yeah.
Okay, so let me take it a step further, because I think a lot of fans wonder about this. You know, it's win or go home. You've been in games like that before, and this is a team with a lot of playoff experience, as we know.
Yeah.
How do you getting up and being ready for the game is not the issue. How do you stay loose so you don't play tight? Because playing tight is not good either.
Have you been in that locker room before?
Yeah.
Have you been in that locker room before? Yeah, those guys.
Just take a hit and you're
trust
good?
me, yeah, just take a hit, you're good, man.
Okay.
You're good. Because that locker room right now, ain't nobody walking around that locker room going like, oh, man, we've come this far. Oh, you know. No. They're in that locker room going, you know what? Especially on offense, we still haven't played our best offensive ball. And it's going to be a messy day Sunday.
All right, so let me take it a step further. How
many steps are you going to keep taking?
I'm going all the way up to the second floor here. How do you, like a guy with a big role who hadn't done this before, Dalton Kincaid, like what does Dawson say to him to kind of keep him loose? Like just play your game. Just play
be you, man.
Yeah, just show them who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to want the ball. Give me the ball.
Yeah, Josh is coming to you. He's coming to you. I mean, he's been doing it the last 8 to 10 games. Yeah, he's not going to just like, let's forget about Kincaid. No, I'm not doing that.
You learn how to get in that mindset because of the losses you sustain. I mean, nobody knows how to get into a better than guys who have failed at it. I mean, you know what you feel like where you came up short, and you've seen other guys excel in those situations. It's about not worrying about what happens after. It's like go. You got to go and play to your potential. Go do it. You got to trust your discipline. You trust your training and your fundamentals and all that. And when you see an opportunity, risk it. Go for it. You got to go for it in those situations because it is do or die, and you got to trust yourself that you know what you're looking at.
Yeah, know what you're doing.
Yeah,
right.
you know what you're
Eli
doing.
used to tell me all the time, dare to be great.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing something I probably.
Yeah. I mean, you practice and you play all year.
Yeah.
Might as well be bold now.
Might as well be bold now,
Right?
right? I'm in a position to where we can take this to the following week, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Fortune favors the bold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last thing, wind can also affect. And what sparked my thought of this is when you're telling me you don't want to be the guy to muff the punt. Are we getting away from the ball completely? If you got 25-mile-per-hour sustained winds, just get away.
It's not unusual.
Don't even try to field it.
It's not unusual in this stadium in Highmark in a game like it looks like it's going to be 25-mile-per-hour winds, 50-mile-per-hour gusts, light snow. It's not unusual for both teams to punt 4 or 5 times at least. And you will see 8 to 10 punts untouched. Nobody will get near it. You'll just let them go.
It's just not worth the risk.
It's not worth the risk. You won't see a single punt.
10 yards. A difference of 10 yards is not worth ball security.
It's not worth getting the possession of the ball.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of punt. You'll just see guys just get away from it, and you may not see a single punt return in the entire game, even if both teams go 3 and out for the first 3 quarters of the game. You'll never see a punt returned.
I mean, you can take it a step further, depending on which way you're going into the win.
That's
Kickoff.
right.
I mean, that's going to be could be just as much as excruciating as a punt return, right? Because you're not going to be at the end zone if these winds are going to be like that. You're
not in the scoreboard end. You'll never make it. Plus, the cold, the ball doesn't travel so far, and you can't kick it as hard. So you're going to get some balls out on the field. This might be one of those games where you get the fair catch to the 25.
Yeah, but what if you're line driving, squibbing it on him? Now you can't.
Well, it's not a bad tactic.
Then it's a party.
It's not.
That's a race.
It is not. It is not a bad. It's not a bad tactic.
Yeah.
It's not a bad tactic.
Not in a game like that, right?
No, not at all. Now you run the risk, even though you bang it and you line shot it, and knuckleball it down between the hash marks. The stinking thing still could go out of bounds.
Or you can be Steve Tasker and catch it in the air against the Raiders and get caught by Willie Gault at the 2-yard line.
I heard that.
And everybody tell him it was Dan Turk.
Right. Thurman was on the sidelines going, no. Okay, go.
I mean, he actually caught that ball out of the air, line drive. And it was
a rock.
It was a rock.
Because it was so damn cold.
Cold that day.
That was the coldest day. That was the coldest game ever in Buffalo history.
Yeah,
it was cold, and it was sunny and clear.
Man, you guys are lucky. Getting to play in a game like this.
So lucky. It's a great story. 30
Oh, here it
years
is.
later.
Look at it. We got it.
Look at that. Are you kidding me?
You did
take a
kinda
little.
snap.
I was going the other way before those guys even like.
And I was like, oh yeah. Then I saw Willie Galt come out of.
Oh, you even tried to get the pylon. You even tried it.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. I landed with that ball. It hit me in the sternum, and I couldn't breathe for like 30 seconds. I was curled up against the wall over there in the corner. Mark Pike banging me on the head. This Kenny scores in the next play.
Yeah.
It was so cold. You know, I mean, we're having Wegmans bringing in bone broth for us this week. It was so cold. All the drinks on the sideline were all like
they were
frozen
freezing
in
up.
a cup.
Yeah.
You know, they couldn't have hydration for us on the sideline. It was crazy, man. It was
a nutty
so
game.
cold. So cold. Oh my gosh.
Well-
and remember the Raiders come in and they had, I don't know who it was, one of their skill guys, a wide receiver backup. He couldn't stand up off the bench. He was like drowsy. He was so cold. He was like,
Really?
and they had stacked coats on him and stuff.
Yeah,
he was like hypothermic.
They had heated benches back
Yeah,
then.
he was sitting on
Didn't
one,
matter.
and he was so cold. He was drowsy. He couldn't function.
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh,
that's
man.
funny. Ooh, look, Bruce got the Vaseline on the cheeks.
It was so. Look
Come
at
on.
that.
Yeah, well,
That's
yeah.
It won't be.
We'll
like
have
that,
some of
but
them on
we're-
Sunday.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will.
It was rough, man.
It's rough.
It was rough, but we go into halftime 13-10 because Andre flopped and got a pass interference call right before halftime. We got a field goal out of it.
Yeah.
And we came back and beat them. They were done. They wanted no part of it.
They were playing well.
They were good.
They were good. They were good that year. They were playing well. Yeah. So
You guys were a little better.
Yep.
Therm, thanks for coming in.
All right.
Have your thermos of hot chocolate with you on Sunday.
Yeah, I will.
Good luck staying warm.
In my
keep the windows
in
closed.
my frozen cigar.
I know. I'm kind of bummed. I'm kind of bummed. I just got a new shipment of cigars to the house. I can't even. They're like sitting there.
Well, yeah, save them for next week.
Yeah, I guess.
Save
There
them
you
for
go.
next week.
Yeah.
Therm, we'll catch you next week.
Appreciate
you coming in.